Hey friends, what's up? And welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf 5 of Masechta Taanis. Friends, what can I tell you? Today's like an all-star daf, friends. Home run, slam dunk. Very, very geschmack daf. We get to some Gemaras there at this, particularly at the end of the daf. We got some famous family Gemaras. My grandfather, this is a classic Rabbi Rapp's Gemara. Classic. Everybody in my family knows this Gemara. Everybody in the family knows this Gemara. Daf Heyamud Beis. We'll get there. And then another Gemara there at the end. Famous Gewaldiger Geschmack stuff. So friends, let's jump in over here. So where should we start? Where do you guys want to start? Alright, Daf Heyamud Aleph at the Mishnah. Okay, that seems like a good place to start. 5-6 lines into the page. Until when do we say Rabbi Yehuda says until Pesach is over. Rabbi Meir Omer ad she'etzeh Nisan. Rabbi Meir says until Nisan is out. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, V'yored lachem geshem moreh malkush barishon, that there will be rain, or the early rains, the late rains in the first month in Nisan. So therefore, we continue to pray for rain throughout Nisan. Omerle Rav Nachman le Reb Yitzchak. We're going to be seeing a lot of interaction between Reb Nachman and Reb Yitzchak on today's daf. So says the Gemara that Rav Nachman says to Reb Yitzchak, Yoreh b'Nisan, Yoreh b'Marcheshvenu. Friends, what's Yoreh? Yoreh are the early rains that start falling at the beginning of the rainy season in Marcheshvan. So why does the pasuk say that it will rain Yoreh in Nisan? Yoreh is 6 months prior in Marcheshvan. Prior to Tanya, the Tanya is winning by. So Yoreh b'Marcheshvan u'Malkosh b'Nisan. That the Yoreh rains, the early rains, are in Marcheshvan, and the later rains, the Malkosh rains, are in Nisan. Amalei. So says Rabbi Yitzchak Hachiyam Rabbi Yochanan. This is what Rabbi Yochanan says. V'mei Yoel ben Psuel niskayim mikra zed. That this pasuk of the Yoreh, the early rains, only happening at the end of the season in Nisan, happened during the days of Yoel, of the Navi Yoel. As the pasuk says, that there was a terrible famine for 7 years, friends. 7 years, terrible famine, and then it says that anything that was left over, the locusts would eat. Anything left over from one kind of locust would be eaten by the other kind of locust. Shver matzah. Oh, so Shana Yatza Adar, and then that year, Adar went out. Mamish, the end of the winter. V'lo yardu geshamim, and there still was not any rain. Yardeloim Revia Rishona be'echad b'Nisan. And when did the first rains only happened on the first day of Nisan? Mamish, the whole winter, no rain to be found. The Maisa, where are we at? I feel like I already mentioned this. I'm probably going to mention this more because after all, we're at the beginning of the winter now and we're learning about Masechta Taanis. So we can mamish be living it. We can mamish be living Masechta Taanis as we learn it. It's the beginning of the rainy season here in Eretz Yisrael. And the Maisa, it hasn't really rained. Maybe once, not so much. So it's going to be interesting to be following along on our journey in Eretz Yisrael, in our hopefully rainy journey in Eretz Yisrael, as we learn Masechta Taanis. Anyways, so that year there was mamish no rain until Nisan. And then what happened? It rained on the first of Nisan. They finally got some rain. Amar lo'im noveli Yisrael. Yoel said to the Yidden, Tze'u v'zeru, go and plant. Okay, friends, it rained. Go out and plant. Amrulo, they said to him, what do you mean go and plant? Misheyesh lo kav chitim, or kabayim se'orin. A fellow has a kav of wheat, or 2 kavs of barley. What should he do? Yochalenu v'yichyeh. One option is he can eat the whatever wheat or barley he has and he can live. Or yizre'enu v'yamos, or he could plant it and die of starvation because there's nothing to eat. Amrulo, and Yoel says to them, Afal pichen. Even so, listen to me. Tze'u v'zeru. Go and plant whatever you got. Nais Elohim nes. And a miracle happened. V'niskal Elohim masha b'ksolim masha b'chori nemolim. And all of the grain and things that the mice had hid away for themselves, the Yidden were able to chaparine So what they did was they planted their wheat and barley that they had, and all of a sudden they started finding leftover food from the mice, and they were able to eat that. Yatsu v'zaru sheni v'shlishi v'revi. They went out and they planted their wheat and their barley on the 2nd day of Nisan, the 3rd day of Nisan, the 4th day of Nisan. V'yardelayim reviya shniya b'chamisha b'Nisan. And then it rained the 2nd time on the 5th day of Nisan. Hekrivu omer b'shisha aser b'Nisan. And then already, less than 2 weeks later, they were already offering the Korban HaOmer from all of this grain that grew in just 11 days. Grain that would normally take 6 months from Tishrei until Nisan to grow, grew that year in just 11 days. The Korban HaOmer, the barley offering on Pesach, which normally is the product of 6 months of growing, was offered from grain that grew in just 11 days. And it says about that generation, those who sow with tears, they harvest in joy. That they mamish were sowing with tears, that they had no food to eat. They were in the middle of a famine, and nonetheless, when they were harvesting just 11 days later, they were mamish the happiest in the world. That the fellow who is planting will be crying. What does it mean that the fellow is going to be planting and crying? Omer Yehuda says, that year, the cow, the ox, when it was plowing, was crying. And already on the way back, there was already what to eat. That things were expedited to such an extent, to such a degree, so quickly that year, that in 11 days, mamish, there was plenty of food in just 11 days. Already when the cow was on its way back from plowing the furrow, there was already stuff sprouting. And this is what it means, that it will come in joy. What does it mean that he will be chapping around his bundles? Amr Yitzchak, Amr of Chizda says of Chizda v'amilov masni satana kone zeres shibolas zeresayim. That while the stalk was only the length of 1 zeres, the grain was twice as much, was 2 zereses. Meaning in general, usually most of the wheat is stalk, and then there's just a bit of, whoa, what was that sound? And then there's like some food at the end of it. No, in this case it was mostly food. Gewaldig. Amr le Rav Nachman le Rabbi Yitzchak. Now says Rav Nachman to Rabbi Yitzchak, "My dichsiv, what does the pasuk mean? Ki kara Hashem larav, that the Eibishter called out to the famine, v'gampa el haaretz sheva shanim, and it came to the land for 7 years. B'nach sheva shanim ma'achol. What did they eat for 7 years? No food for 7 years. What did they do? So Amalei, Rabbi Yitzchak says, Achiyam Rabbi Yochanan, so said Rabbi Yochanan, Shanim Yishona achlu mashe b'ksal. Mashe b'batim. That the first year they ate whatever they still had in their houses. Shniya achlu mashe b'sadis. The second year they ate whatever was in the fields. Shlishis b'sar behema tahora. The third year they ate the flesh of pure animals. Revi'as b'sar behema tmeya. In the fourth year they ate the flesh of impure animals. Chamishis b'sar shkatz murmosim. And the fifth year they ate the flesh of like bugs. Shishis b'sar b'nei ufnoseim. The sixth year they ate the flesh of their sons and daughters. Shvi'as b'sar zrooseim. And in the seventh year they ate the flesh of their own arms. Mashenemar, as the pasuk says, L'kai mashenemar ish b'sar zor yochelu. A fellow will eat the flesh of his own arm. Friends, let's move on. V'amr le Rav Nachman le Rabbi Yitzchak, my dichsiv, says Rav Nachman to Rabbi Yitzchak, what does the pasuk mean? B'kir b'cha kadosh v'lo avir ba'ir, that in your midst you are very holy, I will not come into your city. That makes no sense. B'shum b'kir b'cha kadosh v'lo avir ba'ir, what does that mean? You're very holy, therefore I won't come into your city? I would have thought the opposite. You fellows are being holy, I dafka want to come into the city. Amr le, so Rabbi Yitzchak says, Achiyam Rabbi Yochanan, so says Rabbi Yochanan, Amr HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the Eibishter, Lo avir b'Yerushalayim shamayla, I will not go and hide away in my heavenly Jerusalem until I first come to the Jerusalem Shamata till we build the third temple. I won't be sitting there hanging out in my Yerushalayim Shamala, sipping pina coladas, while we're still waiting for the third temple to be rebuilt. That only once I rebuild the third temple will I then retreat to my Yerushalayim Shalmaila. Mi'ika Yerushalayim Lemaila. Is there such a thing as an upper Jerusalem? Yes, the Chsiv, as the pasuk says, Yerushalayim Abnuya, that the built Jerusalem, Kir Shechubur Layachtav, is like its sister city. And where is its sister city? Above, in the heavens. Kivaldik, friends. Rav Nachman, the Rabbi Yitzchak says, Rav Nachman to Rabbi Yitzchak, man techsiv, what is a pasuk? Minu v'achas yiv'aru v'yichsalu musaravalim eitzu. All right, and with one they will, be silly, and it's like their gods are like wood. All right. Amalei hachem Rabbi Yochanan. So says Rabbi Yitzchak. Well, so says Rabbi Yochanan. Achas yishma va'eres v'shoim begehenim. There's like this one thing that burns up the nudniks in Gehenim. Whoa. Mahi, what's this thing? Avodah Zarah, idol worship. It says over here that it's like just like wood. It says Hevel Hema Maisei Taituim, that it's nothingness, the works of silliness, I guess. And it says over there Be'es Pkudasim Yovedu, and they're gonna get destroyed. So we see, like references to hell and Avodah Zarah and burning and nudniks, and you get the point, right? Don't be a nudnik. What does the pasuk mean? It says that my nation that did two silly things, two evil nudniky things. Wait, what about? I thought they did 24 bad things. And this is what Rabbi Yochanan says. There's this one thing that is as bad as two. My new Avodah Zarah. That's idol worship. Friends, don't worship idols. Okay? Got it? Good. The Chsiv, the pasuk says, Kishtayim Ros also Ami, that my nation did two bad things. They left me the source of live waters. Friends, source of live waters sounds very delicious. Over here in Eretz Yisrael, we have a reverse osmosis water filter. The water from the reverse osmosis water filter is very geschmack. I don't know if it's dafka the combination of the waters of Eretz Yisrael and the reverse osmosis water system, or maybe all reverse osmosis water systems are very geschmack. But I'll tell you, in Eretz Yisrael, the reverse osmosis water system, highly recommended. Such sweet waters. It's like, it's like when Moshe Rabbeinu put his staff into the waters by Yimtuku Hamayim. And right, Sham Sam Lo Choku Mishpat V'Sham Niso, over there. Right, there was sweet waters. I don't know if I'm mixing up different things, but friends, reverse osmosis, recommended. Let's go weiter. So, Tichsev Kishtayim Ros, also Ami, also Ozum Kormayim Chayim, Lachtzov Loem, Boros Nishbarim, to query for themselves these broken cisterns. And it says, Ki Avru Iye Kitiyim V'ro V'Kedar Shalchu V'Zbononim Od V'Gomer, that these Kitiyim and Kedarim passed by, and they said, Ahemer, Goy Elohim V'Em Elo Elohim. Do any of these nations ever trade in their gods that aren't even anything? And yet my nation, they swapped me out for silliness, for something that's not going to help at all. It's said that the Kusim, they serve fire. The Kedarim ovnin lamayim, and the Kedarim serve the water. Even though the Kusim know that the, Kasim, what's the base? Quickly. Where are you? Bays, quick. I don't have time. I'm on the Katim, yeah. So, where are we again? See, I got all lost. Got all shook up. Right, that you have these Katim, and they know, look, they're worshipping fire. Fire can be extinguished, and still, they're determined to worship the fire. And yet my nation won't worship me, and I'm like the real thing. So you can understand why the Eibishter might be frustrated. Anyway, so we see that Avodah Zarah is equal to two, i.e. because there's the Kedarim and the Katim. Okay, sounds very nice. Well, I mean, it's nice, I guess, because it's Gemara and Zeh, it's Gevaldik, it's Babylon Talmud, but At the end of the day, avodah zarah, stay away, friends. Just stay away. Family of Nachman to Rabbi Yitzchok. It says of Nachman to Rabbi Yitzchok, "My dichsiv." What does the pasuk mean? Vayikasher Zaken Shmuel. That it was when Shmuel got old. Misiv Shmuel. What do you mean? Shmuel didn't get old. Right? Misiv Shmuel Kuli. Did he really get particularly old? Vabai Nun Beis Hava. He died at 52. Damer Myers, as we said, Meis Benun Beis Shana Zeu Misaso Shmuel Aramati. If a fellow dies at 52, that's the Shmuel death. Because Shmuel died at 52. Amalei Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yitzchak says, this is what Rabbi Yochanan says. Zikna Kofza Olav. That he suddenly got very, very old. Yeah, he died at 52, which isn't particularly old, but he suddenly became a very old man. The pasuk says, Nichamti Kimlachti Shaul, that the Eibishter, very shortly after Shaul became king, the Eibishter already was having second thoughts. I'm in the fun of Rebbeinu Shalom, and then Shmuel says to God, he says, wait, Master of the world, 1 second, Shkaltani Kamo, Moshe v'Aharon, you have equated me with the likes of Moshe and Aharon. As it says, Moshe v'Aharon b'chan v'Shmuel b'kol Shmuel, that Moshe and Aharon in their priestliness with Shmuel b'kol Shmuel. Yeah, I shouldn't be making up words anymore. Like, what was the word that I wanted to say that I got called out on? Samenize? To samify, to samenize. That I couldn't get that by the friends over here. Got called out on it. Well, Uncle Bonim. And Moshe v'Aharon b'chan v'Shmuel b'kol Shmuel, that Moshe and Aharon in their priestliness, quick, run, move forward before they catch it. V'Shmuel b'kol Shmuel, and Shmuel, when they call out in his name. Okay, Ma Moshe v'Aharon lo badlu ma'aseh yedeim b'chayim. Just like Moshe and Aharon, their handiwork was not made batal in their lives, i.e. Yoshua, who was their student, sort of continued after them. So don't kill Shaul while I'm still alive. So now Kadosh Baruch Hu says, alright, well this is a conundrum. Limo Shaul, lo kashavik Shmuel. I can't kill Shaul because Shmuel won't let me. Limo Shmuel, ad zuter, well, if I kill Shmuel when he's so young, well then everyone's going to say, wait, what's the deal with Shmuel? Why did he die so young? What skeletons does he have in his closet? Lo limo Shaul, lo limo Shmuel. And to not kill Shaul and to not kill Shmuel, well that's not an option. It's already, at a certain point, it's going to be time for the kingship of David to arrive. And, when the time for the next king comes, the time has come and there's no overlap. And therefore, when the time for David to become king arrives, Shaul's got to go. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu akpitz olav zikna. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, look, this is what I'll do. I will very quickly make Shmuel very old, so that even when he dies, people won't be, gossiping after him. Why did he die? What kind of skeletons does he have in his closet? People aren't going to say that because they're going to see an old man who died. And by doing so, he would be able to kill Shmuel before Shaul dies, and Shmuel would not need to see Shaul die in his lifetime. This is what the pasuk says: "V'Shaul Yoshed b'giva tachas ha'eshel b'Rama." That Shaul was sitting on the hill under this tree in Ramah. So v'chima inyan giva etzel Ramah. What's the deal with this giva in Binyamin that is by Ramah in Ephraim? Elaloma lechat seriu migarim l'Shaul sheyeshiv b'giva. What caused Shaul to be sitting in Giva shtei shanim v'mechza for an additional 2.5 years? Tfilaso shel Shmuel Haramati. It's the prayer of Shmuel Haramati, which is like Ramah. So zeu. So we see that Shmuel prayed for Shaul, and that is why he got to live for an additional 2.5 years. And then Shmuel died and Shaul died. But 1 second, would somebody really be killed on account of another person? Right? Shmuel died just because Shmuel had to die, because Shaul had to die. Right? Because Shaul had to die, Shmuel had to die also. Does it really work like that? Yes. What does the pasuk mean? Therefore I've quarried with the Nevi'im, not to be confused with quarried. I'm very focused on queries these days. But anyways, quarry, to quarry stone. I've killed them with the words of my mouth. My same lo nemar, not with their they didn't die on account necessarily of their actions, but because of my mouth, that I, the Eibishter, have decreed that they have to die. So that you can have a fellow who dies not because of his actions, but because for Facebook meta reasons, like for example, it's time for David to be king, so therefore Shmuel had to die. All right, very interesting stuff. Okay, friends, so now we get to a very, very famous Gemara in the Raps family. My grandfather, Rabbi Raps, who passed away, where are we now? In November, December, Jan? Yeah, almost a year ago, about 10 months ago. So he was very fond of this Gemara. I've heard him saying it many, many times because he was also very into diktuk. So he's got a nice diktuk taich over here on this Gemara. Friends, here we go. You ready? Let's go weiter. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. So Rav Nachman and Rav Yitzchak have yazve b'sudasa, gewaldig. So Rav Nachman and Rav Yitzchak were sitting at a suda. Rav Nachman to Rav Yitzchak. Now Rav Nachman says to Rav Yitzchak, Lema Marit Milsa. Now Rav Yitzchak, tell us epis. Amalei. Chiyam Rav Yochanan. So Rav Yitzchak says, this is what Rav Yochanan says in Mesichim Besuda. Shemeyaktim kone leveshet. V'yavli de sakona. So we don't talk when we're eating, because if you talk when you're eating, so then Shema Yaktim Kone Leveshet, you might get the food in your windpipe, and it could be dangerous. And then after they finished eating, so then Rabbi Yitzchak says, this is what Rabbi Yochanan says, Yaakov Avinu lo meis. That Yaakov Avinu never died. Friends, you hear that? Yaakov Avinu never died. Rav Nachman says, wait a second, I don't understand. So the pasuk talks about how they eulogized Yaakov Avinu and they embalmed him and they buried him in Maris Machpelah. Like, I don't understand, how could he still be alive? So Rabbi Yitzchak says, look, Mikra Ani Dorish, I'm just expounding a pasuk. Shnei, the pasuk says, Va'ata atira avdi Yaakov num Hashem. Do not fear my servant Jacob, the word of God, Vatechas Yisrael, and don't be fearful, Israel, Ki inni mosheach mirachok, that I'm going to save you from far away, Vezaracha me'eretz shivyam, and your children from their land of captivity, Ma'keshu l'zaros. So we compare that in that pasuk, Yisrael, Yaakov Avinu to his Avdi Yaakov to Yisrael. We compare Jacob and Israel. Mazar b'chaim, afu b'chaim. So just like his children are alive, so also Yaakov Avinu is alive as well. Friends, so what's the tie into my grandfather? So my grandfather had a shtickle Torah like this. Are you ready? So he was a diktuk guy. So he would say, look, so Rashi says over here, what he says, right, Shemayaktim konik sheyotzi akol niftach also kova shal pi akona v'nichnas ba maichol mistakim lefichach laomer lecha klum. Fine. So Rashi says, look, we don't talk when you're eating, because if you're talking, then your windpipe opens, maybe you'll choke. Now, my grandfather would say, Mesichin is oh gosh, was it Peel, I guess? Peel? Yeah, I think it's Peel. I forgot my diktuk already. But I think it's Peel. Or Hifiel? No, I think it's Peel. Anyways, whatever it is, it's to cause somebody else to talk, right? It doesn't say ein, right? He would say ein. It doesn't say ein sachin besuda. It doesn't say you don't talk when you eat. It says ein mesichin. We don't cause somebody else to talk, right? And therefore, if I ask you something, right? So basically, what Rabbi Yitzchak is saying is you don't ask somebody something else when he's talking, because then he might be like in the middle of eating, and then he will sort of be forced to respond, and he can end up choking. But then, I think there was more to it. Then there was like, and what does Yitaka then say afterwards? Yitaka says, Yaakov Avinu lo meis. The Yaakov Avinu never died. And it's like, what? And you get surprised and excited. You could take a choke on your food, right? So therefore, I think everything together, Kilu, you don't sort of invoke somebody else to talk when he's eating, especially I think with something like, Yaakov Avinu lo meis, because he can get excited and then he could choke. Something like that. I'm probably saying it wrong. The important thing was that when we see this Gemara of Mesichim Besuda, we think of my grandfather. I think that's the important thing. I don't remember the exact thing, I guess, but something to do with diktuk and something to do with Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Yeah, he got very excited. He liked that Gemara. I've probably heard him say it a bunch of times, but I guess enough that I equate it with him. Friends, let's move on. Okay, fine. So now, says the Gemara, Omer Yitzchak says, Yitzchak kol Omer Rachov miad nikre. Okay, that's exciting stuff. So anybody says Rachav, who's Rachav? Rachav is the woman who hid Kalev and Pinchas when they were spying out Jericho. So apparently she was very, very extraordinarily beautiful, and any fellow who says her name twice immediately becomes a Balkari. Rav Nachman says, what? I say it and it doesn't make a difference. So Amalei ki kamina biyodov makira. So Rabbi Yitzchak says, yeah, but you have to know her. So yeah, it's not enough to just say Rachav. Yeah, you have to have known her. All right, friends. Here comes the next. I think it's a very famous Gemara. It's certainly a very beautiful Gemara. So here we go. You ready? When it was time to go their separate ways. So Rav Nachman says to Rav Yitzchak, "Nu, give me a blessing." So Rav Yitzchak says, "Look, I will tell you a parable to what this is similar to. It's like a fellow who was traveling in the desert and he was hungry, he was tired, he was thirsty. And lo and behold, he finds a tree, that its fruits are very sweet, and its shade is very pleasant, and there's a stream that is flowing beneath it. He eats the fruit of the tree, he drinks the waters, he rested and he sat in its shade, and when it was time to go, he says, Ilon, no, tree, how can I possibly bless you? If I say to you, I bless you that your fruits should be sweet, your fruits are already sweet. If I should bless you that your shade should be pleasant, your shade is already pleasant. I should bless you that you should have a beautiful stream flowing beneath you. That's already there. How can I possibly bless you? Rather may be the will that any tree that they plant from you, I guess if you take part of the tree or somehow be able to plant other trees from it, that they should all be as blessed as you are. That any tree that comes from you should be as blessed as you, should be like you. Afata. So Yitzchak then ties it into Rav Nachman. He says, you also. How can I possibly bless you, Rav Nachman? In Batorah, should I bless you? You should be a Talmud Chacham. Arei Torah, you're a Talmud Chacham. In Ba'osher, should I bless you? You should be wealthy. Arei Osher, you're already wealthy. In Bibonim, Arei Bonim, I should bless you. You should have a lot of children. You have a lot of children. Ella, or at least some children. Yiratzon, sheyutzetzoi me'echa kimoscha. Rather, I bless you, Rav Nachman, that your children should be like you. They should have nachas from the kinder. Wow. All right, friends. I bless all of us that we should have nachas from the children. I mean, obviously, my children. All right. What do you want me to tell you? It's very nice. So, friends, that was daf hey, Masechta Taanis. That was some daf, right? Yeah, obviously. So anyways, what do we talk about in today's daf? So, wow, amazing stuff. We talked about that amazing situation with the Yor and the Malkosh during Yoel when there was the early rains in Nisan, and in 11 days everything just grew and chapterain, and that's the pasuk of Hazor Bedima Brina Yiksoru. That was cool. We saw all of these things from Rav Nachman, Rav Yitzchak, that Yerushalayim Shalmaila is connected to Yerushalayim Shalmata, and that the Eibishter is only going to retreat to his Yerushalayim Shalmaila once there's Yerushalayim Shalmata, once we have the Binyan Beis Hamikdash, B'meir B'meinu Amen. Well, I think I was trying to think of what was the thing? I forget the Bias Goel, the Goel Tzedek, all of these nice things. Yeah, then we saw about Shmuel, right? That he passed away when he was 52 years old, and that the situation there with Shmuel and David HaMelech, and that Yaakov Avinu lo meis, that Yaakov Avinu is still alive, that he never passed away, and that in Mesichin Besuda, we don't cause other people to talk in the middle of a Suda. Of course, we mentioned my grandfather, and then we ended up with this there's something so sweet about that last Gemara with that tree. I don't know why. Maybe when I was younger, growing up in if I went to this yeshivish summer camp for 2 summers, I guess that was an interesting experience. Anyways, I think over there they liked this Gemara. Who can remember? Friends, have a great day. Peace out.